Well, it's been a bit of a bonkers day in the wrestling world, hasn't it? Things have gone a little bit different to what I initially planned today. Obviously, going to do a live Q&A for you now, or on a Q&A format, but there's a lots of wrestling news that's broken today. Initially, I was going to do Elimination Chamber predictions, but I thought with what's happened today, we need to dive into the big news. Cody Rhodes is officially done with AEW, it seems, along with Brandi Rhodes as well. Now, we knew he was out of contract. He was sort of working, without a deal. But the fact is, he's actually now decided to, they're not going to be continuing that relationship going forward. There's now rumors he could be going to WWE as well. There's rumors from Stone Cold Steve Austin as well, could be returning at WrestleMania 38. It looks like he could be in a match, and it looks like he could even be a rumored opponent with Kevin Owens. So there's lots gone on in the last sort of 24 hours. It just seems a bit mad, a bit crazy. So I thought I need to come on here today and I need to discuss it with you. So if you want to get involved, throw some questions in. We'll have a bit of fun today. We'll talk about the big breaking news that's gone on as well today. And just say we've already got some people with us. We've got KXI. What's up, Steve? Thank you very much for checking out the stream. Hope you're doing well. Randy Samuels is saying that I'm the man for doing this. Let's go. Well, thank you very much. And it's good to be here. Looking forward to talking about all things pro wrestling. And let's dive straight into it, shall we? Let's not waste any time because Dom Mills is with us as well. Dom, hope you're doing very, very well. He says, Stone Cold coming back. Hopefully not. Please. Now, I must admit, I'm going to give my viewpoint on this. I think this was broke by Fightful, if I'm not mistaken. It's been on multiple dirt sheets over the course of the day as well. Stone Cold coming back, my first thoughts of it was that I don't think I need to see him come back because, like you said, you say hopefully not. Well, what can Stone Cold do in a ring in 2022? The last time he competed was WrestleMania 19. That's 19 full years ago. But I've had to think about it over the day. And if the money's right and Stone Cold wants to come back, and there's one legend that would come back that, who's earned the right to, if you want, I think Stone Cold has earned that right to come back. I think personally, when you look at it, is Steve Austin, I don't expect he could do a 15-20 minute classic. So I think that would be wrong. I know that perhaps being critical of people like Goldberg coming back as well, but was initially given a lot of buzz. I think if Steve Austin was to come back in Texas, the feeling of that entrance alone would be really special. But perhaps there was some arguments. Maybe you could turn around and say he could be a special guest referee and enforcer. Someone that just comes down and stuns Kevin Owens if Kevin Owens has been talking too much. So there is different philosophies and ways this could be done. But a match against Kevin Owens, I think it would be special. I think it would get people talking. And on a WrestleMania that you've got Brock Lesnar against Roman Reigns, which, let's be fair, is still arguably the biggest match WWE can do. You've got a Ronda Rousey return and Steve Austin. It's going to bring casuals in. And I think that's something WWE would look to do. So from a different standpoint, I would say that this could be a really, really good thing. And some may say, why Kevin Owens? Well, Kevin Owens has been badmouthing Texas. Obviously, that was on Raw last night. Now, I must admit, I've not seen all of Monday Night Raw at the time of doing this, but I'm looking forward to watching the rest of the show. But seeing KO absolutely bash Texas, I mean, it was screaming out that if KO was not going to have a match at WrestleMania, not an opponent, not a method to go through the Elimination Chamber, that this would make sense. And if there is the rumor that's going behind Raw, then this could be fun if it's put together, and KO would make Austin look really, really good. I'm pretty sure of that. But to be honest, for me, I'm going to say I'm sort of open-minded. When I first saw the news, I kind of was on your side, Dom. I'm not going to lie by saying hopefully not, because I'm not sure what he would bring in 2022, but certainly it could bring some casuals back. It could bring some nostalgia back. Hey, we've just come off Super Bowl weekend. Anyone that's in their sort of, mid-20s to late 30s, we're all, marking out for that halftime show. So I'm pretty sure it could be kind of cool. But just to go on one of your other comments that's coming very quickly before we go into other questions. So I've covered the topic all in itself. He doesn't need to tarnish the legacy. Nothing left to prove. His last match was 19 years ago, and he was shot in that one against The Rock, and that's very true. He was signed off in the perfect way in WrestleMania 19. And to be fair, we've seen the likes of Shawn Michaels come back, of course, a Saudi Arabia show recently. I think was it Crown Jewel 2018, the DX versus Brothers of Destruction, that went really, really badly. So, I mean, there is that risk, there is that feeling. But like I say, if it was like a special guest enforcer, a special referee, just to come out and stun, would be pretty cool to see. But a match, if they could do it where it's done in a clever way, and Steve Austin is a clever guy when it comes to the wrestling world. I think we all know that from listening to his podcast work and stuff like that, and watching his work from WCW and WWE, if you want, to the point, especially before he went to his, Austin 316 character, which of course he completely changed his in-ring style, knew his limitations after the injury from Owen Hart. So I'm sure there's ways it could be done well. It wouldn't be a 20-minute classic, I'm sure of that. But there were two sides to this, and I'd love to know everybody's thoughts. Dom, I see your point of view, and earlier on today, I completely agreed with it. I still see that point of view. But if someone does want to come back and feels they can just call themselves to come back, Steve Austin is that guy. So I think it could be kind of cool as well at the same time, just to see Texas erupt. I'm sure it'd be like a WrestleMania 17 vibe, or seeing him come down the aisle against someone that's completely anti-Texas. It's certainly a better shout than JBL anyway. Getcho is in the house. Yo, homie. How are you doing? Thank you very much for checking out the stream. Hope you are doing well. Jamie Holmes as well is with us here. Hope you're doing well as well. Thank you for checking out the stream. What's your pick for the Women's Elimination Chamber? While I want Liv Morgan to get one on WrestleMania match, get a one-on-one WrestleMania match, I wouldn't mind Rhea Ripley winning after her gauntlet performance. Now, this is a part of Raw I've not seen yet, but I am aware that, if I'm not mistaken, someone correct me if I'm wrong, the sixth person in the chamber is Alexa Bliss. Tell me if I'm wrong on that, but that's what I believe at this point. It's hard to say the prediction because while I'd love to see Liv Morgan do it, I think at the moment we're probably looking for her to have like probably a lesser role on WrestleMania, maybe a women's battle royal or a minor undercard if you want one-on-one match. Rhea Ripley would be cool to see. I still believe the story is Bianca Belair, but if Alexa Bliss is thrown in the deep end, that throws a curveball. So I'm not completely sure of what my prediction is as of yet. I'd like to see Raw first before I give a full prediction, but Bliss and Bianca Belair would be my two that I would lean towards. I am going to do the predictions on this channel tomorrow, which I believe UK time will be 4:15 UK time PM, which means, of course, it's an early time in the States in Eastern time of 11:15 AM. Of course, it'll be on demand afterwards, depending on what you're doing. But if you can check it live, I will be joined by Silk from Jonesy Chats Wrestling as well. So I look forward to diving into this with great detail. Obviously, one of the big matches on the pay-per-view coming up this Saturday. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting one. Like I say, I lean towards Bliss and Bianca Belair, but who knows? If when I finish Raw, it could change. I've been asked here my thoughts as well on Cody Rhodes leaving out. Let's go into that with a bit of detail, shall we, very quickly. We'll try and spend a few minutes on it, and then other questions that come flying in for the rest of the stream, we'll make sure that everyone gets their questions in. For me, KXI, I was shocked by the news. Now, I know, as I said at the start of this video, he was working without a contract. I believe that the deal would have expired, I believe, either late December or early January. And of course, Cody was actually TNT champion as well. He obviously dropped the championship to Sammy Guevara in that awesome ladder match just a couple of short weeks ago. And now for them to be cutting ties, and we're seeing announcements being made. If we believe Fightful made it public first, then we got the announcement for Tony Khan thanking Cody and Brandi for all their efforts and what they've done with AEW. And then Cody's obviously sent his message out as well, thanking a lot of people, Brandi doing the same. I'm shocked that it would be a leave from AEW. He's an EVP. He's someone that was put this together, with Cody, the Bucks, Tony Khan, Jericho as well. Excuse me for a second. But looking at that, I would have thought that Cody would have stuck around, and a lot of the guys that would have come in probably would have been on Cody's recommendation. There's a lot of things with AEW that were made important probably via Cody's influence. So to see him walk away is a surprise. It is a shock. Is he going to go to WWE like WrestleVotes and others have been tweeting about today? Time will tell on that. I think it'd be surreal to see Cody and Brandi back in WWE, but if they were given a prominent role and a deserving role of what they would have, that would be pretty interesting to see. Let's not forget as well, the Dusty Tag Team Classic final for the men's is tonight as well. Wouldn't that shock the books if he turned up on NXT to award the Dusty Cup trophy? I don't think that's going to happen, by the way, but it would be very interesting to see. But I mean, Cody, he's done a lot. Just go back on the AEW stuff. He's done a lot. He's had some great matches. Brody Lee's last match obviously was an incredible match between them two. The Open challenge with the TNT Championship, the first ever TNT champion as well, we may add. A 3-time champion. I mentioned the Sammy Guevara, ladder match, which was simply breathtaking. Cody had this factor of doing the sports entertainment stuff in AEW, where we get a lot of the Ring of Honor, New Japan style indie wrestling stuff. Cody brought the sports entertainment. Yes, some of it at times probably was overbooked, maybe you could argue, but certainly was a place for it. And Cody always stood out on the card made things pretty special. I wanted to see him turn heel in AEW, but he claimed he was never going to do that. My belief is, from what I've read, he only wants to wrestle till he's 40. Then he wants to stop. He's 36 now, so if there's one big payday left, and WWE are the ones that are going to give it to him, then yeah, I mean that would be, as long as he gets booked well and he's happy with his decision, then totally fine with it. But I suppose a lot of question marks also come to the idea of the relationship with those in amongst AEW. We mentioned that he was an EVP amongst Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks. They're doing their stuff as the elite. Cody's been very separate from that for a very, very long time. So it's fascinating to get this news today. While we shouldn't be surprised, he's been working without a contract. At the same time, I just didn't think he would walk away. It kind of gives me vibes of Jeff Jarrett leaving TNA and things like that in the past, and you wonder if there's more to this than meets the eye, and maybe more will come out in future days from now. This is more of an initial reaction. Yeah, I mean, this could be the real first true defection from AEW to WWE, and what a big name it would be. Arguably, you're taking the centerpiece, someone that was leading the charge for AEW when it started in Cody, someone that was, taking the sledgehammer to the throne, almost a dig at WWE at the first Double or Nothing, with that incredible match with Dustin, by the way, still one of my favorite AEW matches as well, to then say he's coming in and he's then going to be back in WWE. It's incredible. And we mentioned WrestleMania already with Steve Austin, gone in that detail already in this video, to then also suggest the idea that Cody could be coming in, could be wrestling on WrestleMania, could be in a high profile match for all we know, something that could really sway him in, something that would bring him back. That's pretty special if it was to happen for him, if it's something he would want. So those are my initial thoughts. I think we're going to get more that we can digest and more that we'll get over the coming weeks and days, probably over the wrestling media and stuff. So it's something to keep an eye out for. But yeah, I don't think we've heard the last of this. And hey, will it be WWE? It could always be someone else. There's always that idea as well. Cody wants to change the game, wants to make an impact on wrestling. So it's if he wants that big payday, or if he wants to bring someone else, say like a Ring of Honor, he was champion there for a period. Maybe he wants to help them out and bring them back, and so they get themselves where their feet or their heads are above water once again, and then he can say, "I've done my job there as well." Maybe that's what Cody's looking to do. Last note I'll say on this, just before moving to the Don't Go show, he does as well, and he's done the version of Biz and Mrs. also, I believe, also with Cody. He's done that idea also. I'm guessing that was going to be a season 2. I'm guessing perhaps it would be cancelled now. I don't know what the situation will be that, but yeah, fascinating. Shocked is my favorite. We'll move on then to Martin Carrillo, has said here, what's up, are you doing? Well, honestly, got to go big here. What do you think that Cody will bring more viewers and more interest in WWE program if he was signed? I think it definitely would give an initial buzz. I think it would give an idea. Would people from AEW want to go and see what he's doing in WWE? I think there'll be interest. I do think there would be. So I think there would be an initial spike from it. And of course, Cody, he's gone leaps and bounds since leaving WWE. I'd like to think they wouldn't bring Stardust back, if I'm being brutally honest. If they could bring the Cody that we've seen in AEW into WWE and give him an upper mid-card role, maybe put him on a SmackDown, somewhere like that, I think it would be really good. Maybe seeing Cody versus Roman Reigns or something like that going into the summer could be fun to watch. So, I mean, yeah, I do think there would be interest, and I think they could make it work. And the fact that, Dusty has left such a legacy as well behind, WWE can get behind that train again. So who knows? Like I say, it could be one big payday. It could be one big push for Cody. And yeah, I think there would be interest there. That's my initial feeling with it. Getcho says, do you think Taker makes an appearance in Mania just because it's Texas? I think he will. And here's my belief, and I've said this on a previous video already. I believe that The Undertaker will be in the Hall of Fame. I believe that he will be the top dog of it. And I think that I wouldn't be surprised if the whole Hall of Fame is based around The Undertaker. Other people may be going in, like Michelle McCool, maybe like the Bone Street Crew, people like that could be involved there to go into the Hall of Fame. Maybe some of the former legends or people that's been in great rivalries with The Undertaker that are not already in the Hall of Fame. I remember when I did this video initially, I believe, I can't remember the person that wrote it, but someone suggested Psycho Sid being someone that could go into the Hall of Fame. And let's not forget, he was The Undertaker's first ever WrestleMania main event at WrestleMania 13, and Undertaker won the WWE title at that time. So that could be someone that could be a shout as well. So there's those sort of ideas, people like the Savio Vega, the Godwins, people like that are not currently a part of the Hall of Fame that were a part of with the Undertaker. So people that are close to Taker, I think could be joining me in there. But could that mean he make an appearance on WrestleMania itself? It certainly could. I wouldn't be against the choke slam, but unlike Steve Austin, I wouldn't go for a match. And the pure reason for that, where it'd be different, I believe Austin would be one and done. Where Taker, obviously, he was always chasing this last dream match, and he got it with AJ Styles. If he was to come back and it went wrong, and we'd have to see the Undertaker do all these matches again, yes, Undertaker would have the God-given right to wrestle as long as he wants to for everything he's done for wrestling. But I'd hate to see him chase that when he had such a perfect send-off at WrestleMania 36 with the Boneyard match. But yeah, I do think there's some capacity, but I really think the Hall of Fame is where it's going to be. Confirmation, yes, Alexa is in the chamber, and I'm really interested to see how that is going to play out as it is on Raw. I've seen the first bit, the snippet on Raw, where Lily sort of brought back in. Let's see what it's going to lead to, and I'll give more information on that tomorrow when I do the Elimination Chamber predictions live on this channel. No, Lara, I hope I said that right. Thank you for checking out the stream. Hope you're doing well. Cody really needs to ask himself this question personally. Does he really want to go back to WWE and Vince? That is the big question. That's probably the money question right now for Cody. And yeah, the thing is, it could work out. Like I said, could give him a prominent role. Could sign him within 2 months being catering. Who knows how it's going to go down? Maybe they find a good role for him. Who knows? It's something at the moment where it's initial shock and surprise. We can fantasy book all we want, but we'll have to wait and see. Like you say, a lot of people have gone to WWE and it's not worked out. What's to say that Cody goes for one last payday and actually it turns out to be the wrong decision? But as I say, more can meet the eye of the departure of AEW. It might not just be that Cody leaves to go to WWE. There could be a reason of why Cody has left All Elite Wrestling. So I'm going to keep it open on both sides at this point. Getcho saying, do you think Beth versus Lita when it gets edged could happen at Mania? I can see definitely jokes. It would be hilarious. I mean, Lita reckons she's got one more run in her. Beth can still go. Yeah, it's never going to happen, but certainly it would be quite fun. To be honest, when I heard Cody was left, my first reaction was lol, MLA. Laugh my ass off. I'm just going to say it outright. You found it funny for some reason. That's fair play to you if you found it funny. I mean, it's shocking. It gives people in different ways. Yeah. I mean, for me, I'm still surprised by it. You probably can tell how I'm reacting throughout the video. I almost seem to want to go back and give all the points again. Supersonic X in the house. Thank you for checking out the stream. Do you think Asuka and Bayley will return in March or post WrestleMania 38? Great question. I think this leads to whether there's plans at WrestleMania for them or not, if they're fit to go. I was so sure Asuka was returning for the Elimination Chamber on Saturday. I just assumed she would be. At this point, if I had to predict, I would say it would be the night after WrestleMania if I had to predict. But if WWE needs star power and need people to fill matches, then certainly they could fill them a role at WrestleMania. But Bayley, again, it could be the same thing. It seems criminal for neither of them to be on a WrestleMania card, to be fair. But yeah, it could be post WrestleMania. It all depends when they're cleared and when WWE have creative storylines to bring them back in. Also goes on to say what direction AEW will be in with Cody and Brandi leaving. I'm guessing they'll continue down the same path. This is why I say look at it on both sides, because obviously Cody's influence, if you want, in AEW has been less over time. It feels in recent times, and I don't know if you believe stuff that you read. That's could be a contribution to the decision of leaving, and perhaps why this contract wasn't renewed earlier. I mean, Chris Jericho also signed a 3-year deal, and I believe there was a 1-year extension. We don't know what's going on with Jericho, and Jericho put a tease over the weekend. We don't know when we'll see him with Kevin Owens again, which was, I believe, on the Festival of Friendship stuff that was going on. But Jericho is still wrestling in AEW. So is he wrestling also without a contract, or did AEW just go with that year extension, which is just on the table, almost like a soccer contract, if you want? But it's interesting. I think AEW will continue as normal. But who knows? There could be, which 1, 2, 3 brings to us next now. Is it a work? Because they don't believe he'll go back to WWE. What if it is? I mean, it's got people talking. It's made something. If there was a situation where Cody, I don't know, has gone arguably on strike because he wants to get himself, he comes back in a heel format and wants to be in the world title picture, wants to basically be a WWE version style character coming back in. That would be interesting, and I think you would think we've been got, wouldn't we? But at the same time, it would be very good food for thought. I'm not sure if it is a work or isn't at this stage. Like I say, I look at it from all sides, all arguments, and I'm excited to see where Cody goes next. I think that's the interesting thing I can put over on this stream to everybody is that I'm not saying he will go to WWE. I'm not saying he'll return to AEW. He may go somewhere completely different, may go New Japan again. He may do Ring of Honor. He may do Impact Wrestling, GCW, MLW. There's so many different possibilities. May even go to NWA, have another crack at winning the NWA Championship. But Cody will do what Cody will want to do next. And I think Cody has definitely got a spot somewhere along with Brandi. But is it a work? It's a fascinating question. I'd love to say I know the answer to give to you. It could be, is where I'm going to leave it at. But yeah, that's definitely another interesting philosophy and side to look at this argument. Rick Perry in the house. Rick, thank you for checking that stream. Hope you're doing well as well. Bron Breakker beats Santos Escobar. The lights go out and we get one royal family. Whoa, my father says, oh my God, Cody Rhodes, imagine. Well, if Cody was to turn up tonight, that would be really special. As I mentioned earlier, wouldn't it be as well the Dusty Cup finals as well? But then to confront Bron Breakker after at the end of the show, certainly would be very, very interesting. But I don't believe it will happen. But yeah, I mean, if it did happen, we're already talking already about Cody today. I think Twitter and everyone else would go into overdrive. 1, 2, 3. Who do you think will replace them in their backstage roles? A great question. I believe they've said with some of the stuff going on from Brandi that Amanda Huber, I believe, of course, Bradley's widow, I think has taken over some of those roles. But I believe that's what I read in the statements. Unfortunately, I haven't got them on hand with me right now, but I believe that's the situation. With Cody, I believe the EVP role may have stopped a while ago. So if there's someone replacing it, they may have already done so. So it's hard to know, really. I couldn't really give you a good answer on that one, unfortunately. But all I'm saying is that I think if they have left, AEW have had 3 years of seeing how they do things and their thoughts and philosophies and that. And AEW's on a strong base. Obviously, I don't think any finances involved from their side in any way, shape, or form. So Tony Khan is fine with everything that's going on. They've got the Bucks, they've got Kenny Omega for earpieces of people like that. So I don't think it's necessarily a case of even replace. I think it's just it will be fine. They'll continue on. They've got many high-profile names that have left WWE, whether it's backstage, producers, agents, or even in-ring talent. So they've got a lot of people with experience in their ranks, and I think they'll be fine carrying on forward, regardless of who would actually replace in those roles. Jeff Samuel says if Cody's work with WWE, can Scott D'Amore call WWE to get Cody Rhodes on the show? Cody Rhodes versus Moose, a long-term storyline. They did wrestle, I believe, in Impact many, many years ago, if I'm not mistaken. And obviously, if the Forbidden Door was a possibility, could you imagine if Cody started in Impact and then worked his way through to WWE? It's interesting. It's not something I would expect, if I'm going to be honest. But would I be up for seeing Cody versus Moose at some point in 2022? I certainly would. I wouldn't mind seeing that match again. And Scott D'Amore, he's great at doing, his spiel when he gets on the mic. You've seen it with Josh Alexander. That's a big shock, by the way. Josh Alexander contract has expired. Not sure how many Impact fans are with us on the stream, but Josh, of course, was in the top 10 PWI list last year. Would be an asset to any promotion, and it's genuinely the contract has expired. So Impact need to get that deal done. I'd like to see Cody versus Josh as well. That would be an awesome match to see. So there would be some interest if Cody was to go back to Impact in some format, whether it's through a Forbidden Door or to be there. But I don't see it happening, unfortunately. Also, what matches we got tonight? Well, I can tell you, I've already got my Vengeance Day predictions already on the channel. So if you haven't seen them, I recommend to go and do so. But just to give you the NXT card that I can think off the top of my head, because I hope I've got all the matches right there. Bron Breakker defending the NXT Championship against Santos Escobar. We've got the finals of the Men's Dusty Cup with MSK against the Creed Brothers. We've got a weaponized steel cage match of Pete Dunne against Tony D'Angelo. We've also got the North American Championship of Carmelo Hayes Mayonnaise against Kara Grimes. I really want to do that so well, that impression every time I do it. And last but not least, we've got the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships with Toxic Attraction against Indy Hartwell and what's her name? Persia Pirotta. Hope I've said it right, but there's always a chance I've butchered that. Also, will Dolph Ziggler be in the house? We'll have to wait and see. Of course, Tommaso Ciampa was making an appearance on Raw, so that'll be interesting to see as well. But that's pretty much the matches that we've got for NXT Vengeance Day. If you get a chance before the show starts, yeah, the predictions video is literally about 11 minutes long, so recommend if you've got time, do check it out. What if Cody Rhodes can make a deal? He can talk to Vince to work with AEW and WWE partnership Forbidden Door, AEW versus WWE Survivor Series Imagine. Well, Jason, first off, thank you for checking out the stream. Second, I love the creativity. I think it's amazing. Tony Khan's always said he's open for business with anybody. I'm not sure Vince would go for this, but if it was to happen, I do think that the wrestling community would lose their minds. And I'm going to start with minds because they could lose something else as well, because I'm not sure anyone would be happy with anything other than their preferred company picking up the W at the end of a Survivor Series style. But certainly, if you wanted someone to really reignite Survivor Series to different to Raw and SmackDown, that certainly would do it. But unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen. But what if? It would be pretty darn awesome. Warren in the house as well. Disco Laris Collective. Fantastic, by the way. Do subscribe to them on YouTube if you haven't already. But Warren, thank you for checking out the stream. He says, do you reckon if Cody gets a good run, treated well, should he show up in WWE? It could entice AEW stars to jump ship, seeing as they're already interested in Jade Cargill and MJF. Fantastic question. This is something as well which is key because, like you say, MJF and Cody are meant to be very good friends. Jade Cargill as well. Didn't Cody say in his speech as well to give Jade the entrance like he does, where he comes through the stage or comes through that sort of rampway? So yeah, this would be definitely a way to do it. If WWE wants to get people from AEW to come and switch over, this would be a very clever move to treat Cody well. So this actually is a fantastic question. And it's so true because it could lead a lot to what the future is. WWE can try and build their own stars through NXT 2.0, but wouldn't it be great if people were built up pretty well in other companies like AEW, getting that kind of weekly exposure on what it would be like to be on a Raw and a SmackDown, even if it's not the same rating style, and then take that top talent and put it on their programming? It would be ingenious from a WWE standpoint. So yeah, it definitely makes sense for WWE to do that. It would make sense if they can get Cody on board. And yeah, I think people then would listen. And particularly of those two, MJF is one I think would potentially listen. He certainly is teasing idea of 2024 already. Jeffrey Sam in house as well for us now. He says, what is going on in wrestling? This is awesome. Austin versus Owens. Bro, Austin fight Owens in a dream match. What if we get an announced team? Tony Khan signs the Gorillas of Destiny full time. Well, I know that the GOD are involved with Impact at the moment. Of course, still signed to New Japan, but of course they make the appearance in Impact, and they're going for the tag team titles actually against the Good Brothers, which is going to be taking place on this Saturday as well, if I'm not mistaken. I need to get more predictions videos out. There's not enough of them at the minute I can get out quick enough. Yeah, unfortunately that won't happen, but this is pretty cool. If JOD could make an appearance, like, I mean, Jay White has been in Impact and also now appearing in AEW, if they can get them to come over, short time, while they're not in Japan, that'd be pretty darn sweet for the Forbidden Door. I quite like to see it. I'm not going to lie to you. Silk in house as well. Silk will be joining me for Elimination Chamber predictions for us tomorrow. He says, don't know if you play the video game at all, but your thoughts on Karrion Kross being in the game. I must admit, I'm not aware of some of the latest 2K22 news, but the fact that Karrion Kross is there doesn't really surprise me. Obviously, they have to have some members of the roster still. It's not 2K's fault that WWE kept releasing people. For me, I think it's a win. I'm happy Kross is in it because that gives me the opportunity to play a WWE game with Karrion Kross involved in it. I'm not sure what Kross thinks about it, but certainly I'm sure he gets quite a bit of royalties out of it. So, hey, it can't be too bad, can it? But yeah, for me, it's not going to be the most updated roster in the world. I wouldn't be surprised if we got one or two other names that would be involved. I would have not been surprised if Keith Lee would have still been in there, but maybe that would be a change now he's signed for AEW. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see how it will go down. But yeah, I'm okay with it. Of course, it's a shame that it's not the most updated roster, but I'm a big Cross fan. I wonder if the Gimp mask is in there. Eli Washington in this with us now. It says, Sup SCW, do we get our dream match? Miz and Reese versus Cody and Brandi. But imagine Cody beating Roman, the wrestling world would explode. They probably would if Cody was to win that. I don't think Cody would. But yeah, that's an interesting one. Cody and Brandi versus Miz and Reese. The reality shows collide. Would be fun, wouldn't it? Let's be fair. I don't know. I guess you'd have to have Cody and Brandi winning, wouldn't you? Silver was saying as well, they also released the image of Elias today, and he was in trunks instead of jeans. What could the repackaging of Elias lead to if he's no longer a drifter? Yeah, this was interesting. I have actually seen a report on this as well, and I've seen the image as well, because there was rumours going back a little while ago that Elias was going to be almost like a Macho Man Randy Savage style gimmick. And if you look at that, he's kind of got the dress sense of like a Randy Savage. So it's a gimmick that never really saw television, but it could see WWE 2K22. Maybe it's something that could be in the works that could come very, very soon. But as I said, I miss the Drifter. I think he could add something to the TV set right now, especially watching Elimination Chamber 2018 not so long ago. For me, that was just seeing Elias doing some of his best work. Elias didn't work during the pandemic, but could work now. If he was brought back in the Elias gimmick, I do think that it would be almost like a refreshment, because he's not been on TV for so long now. And you can even bring him into, I suggested Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss. I'm sure some wouldn't be a fan of that idea, but certainly as the singing jester, if you want, to the point of just, bashing your hometown while Corbin's just, happy in the background, I think could work quite well. But yeah, this was interesting food for thought, and certainly I would be interested in seeing what that Elias character would have been all about. We've never got to see it, and I'd like to. Jeff Samuel says, why are you not talking about the breaking news of 205 Live is dead? Lol, and NXT Dark Show is coming unless they can bring in Ricochet and Cruz and Gable and anyone that can do that. To be honest, I don't know anything about 205 Live these days. I haven't watched 205 Live since probably 2019. So I didn't really realize it was still going, if I'm being brutally honest, especially when they released half of the cruiserweights, or pretty much all of them, during last year. So yeah, I'm surprised the show's still on. It's not been 205 for a long, long time, and the cruiserweight division, it's dead anyway. So they got rid of the title, so it's not a surprise. And yeah, WWE should just take it off the calendar completely. It's a budget they don't need to spend. Dang, I don't have any questions today, Steve. I'm out, but enjoy the rest of your stream. Thank you very much anyway for checking it out. And hey, just watch the other questions. That's what I say. There's definitely some good ones on there. And of course, if you do change your mind and you want to get involved, throw in another question. We've still got time to go here. We've got a number of questions flying in. Don't be shocked if Jay White shows up in the Elimination Chamber and super kicks AJ Styles. He is meant to be, though, performing. I don't know if it's recorded, though, at the same time, but he is meant to be facing Eric Young during No Surrender for Impact Wrestling on that night. So unfortunately, I would not see that one happening, especially as well if he's going to be involved with Dynamite and Rampage going forward as well for the time being. West Coast Podcast in house as well. Hey Steve, WWE did buy one get one Mania tickets this week. Wow. Do you think a 2-night Mania should end after this year, given poor ratings and attendance? For me, I'm a massive fan of the idea of the 2-night Mania. I'm actually really surprised WWE will be doing it, but I suppose to rent these venues probably is extortionate prices, and that's why it probably shows in ticket prices as well. So yeah, that probably is something to do with it. I know that the time I was in the States, there was deals that were going, particularly for the Monday Night Raw in Long Island. They couldn't move those tickets at that time. Survivor Series as well was not a sellout when I was there either. So even shows that are one night sometimes are not doing so. This just comes down to the fact that WWE, I think, need to just improve the product slightly, in my opinion. And if you bring people in, like a Steve Austin, like a Ronda Rousey, like Brock Lesnar's, you are going to get more casuals involved. And if I'm not mistaken as well, WWE had an advert as well during the Super Bowl, didn't they, this year? Now, I'm not a big NFL guy, but knowing they did that as well, they are reaching out. And I believe that's the first time they've done an advert like that during the Super Bowl since 1999. So they're always trying to get people interested and involved again. They probably need to do that, but a buy one, get one Mania ticket. that's a great thing. If people can do it and get over there, they should definitely snap that up because I do think Mania is going to be special this year. But I personally am a fan of a 2 night Mania. I think the 7-8 hour shows are a bit much. If they were to go back to one night, then I just think you should just put half of the roster on there and that be it. I don't think that everyone should then get the WrestleMania payday. But that's harsh from me, probably as close to Nick Khan as you're going to get from me. But yeah, I'm a fan of the 2 night Mania, if I'm being honest. Bob Williams as well. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for checking out the stream. It says, "What's up, everybody? What about AEW or WWE? But people thought we get Seth versus KO at Mania, and now what a plot twist with Owens versus Austin. So can we get Seth face cough cough Cody Rhodes?" Well, that'd be an interesting way to bring Cody back in if that was the idea. But yeah, we did think we were going to get Seth versus KO. I even was coming close to doing a fantasy booking video, and it looks like now it will probably never see the light of day because it's not going to happen. So yeah, we've gone different directions. I'm okay with different directions. I don't want to see. We only saw Seth and KO at WrestleMania a couple of years ago. We didn't need to see it again. I think Seth at the moment will be against Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania. If I had to predict, I'm still reserved of whether we get this Owens versus Austin match, but certainly it could make sense with the bashing of Texas, the battle of the stunners. So I can see why the wheels are in motion. It's just a shame in the way that the news had come out, because if you just waited to see Austin just return on the Raw randomly, I think would have been probably one of the most special moments in years in wrestling. But now we're probably all waiting for it. So that's the only minor setback from the whole thing. But for me, Seth versus Cody, that's a great match. I'd be down for it, but I believe it would be Seth versus Bobby Lashley at this point. Danny Barron as well says, "Sup, man? I hope you're doing well, Danny. Only breaking news I'm waiting for is Wyndham Bray return at the Chamber. Doubt it, but he's mad at a journalist of that he didn't lose to Roman. Well, I'm not aware about the journalist part there, but if Wyndham was to return, that would be big news as well. It's certainly something that I keep thinking to myself, when is it going to happen? Does he want to come back? Because at this point, you'd think there would be interest from other places that he would have joined somewhere by now. I think this could be more a Wyndham decision than another company decision. Either the money isn't right, or Bray himself probably has other ideas of what he wants to do. Would he return to a WWE one day? Never say never. I mean, look, we're seeing crazy things happening today, so it could happen. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one. But I would, if he wants to return, Bray versus Roman is definitely a match that I would want to see, because, like you say, that has not been done properly in WWE, in my personal opinion. Jeff also says, PW Insider and Sean Ross Rossap tweet that 205 Live is done, and then we get NXT Level Up, maybe similar to what AEW does on Dark. Okay, so that's given the full information, and they're going to show it tonight also, goes on the channel. Well, that's, I'm guessing, breaking news there. Thank you for sharing that with us anyway, and it was obviously shared above also. Yeah, I mean, it's not a surprise, as I say, that 205 is done. I think this is a good idea that they do this, because they've technically been doing it anyway from recent time with NXT Superstars being on 205 Live. Even though I don't watch the show, I still probably wouldn't watch this NXT show, if I'm being brutally honest. But I think it's a good idea if they're going to do that, then to do that sort of style, because it gives people in NXT more experience, more TV time. I know, obviously, Lash Legend ended last year, had a match with Saray on what would be this former show, but at that point, still 205 Live wasn't a very good match. But for people that are not ready for the main NXT, that's a good place for them. So I guess this does make sense, and I do thank for people that brought it to my attention, because it wasn't something I was aware of before coming on this stream. And yeah, lots of breaking news going through at the moment, and hey, maybe more big news is going to happen out before the day is done. Superson X says, do you think AEW will sign more indie wrestlers instead of signing more former WWE talent now that Cody is leaving AEW? That's a great question. Here's my philosophy here. I know Darby was at a Defy show this past weekend. Now I forget the name of the talent, but was offered a contract. So they are still going for indie talents. But I think that at this point, AEW probably are looking for game changers. And I think they've got such a big roster anyway. Some people are going to leave AEW this year. I think contracts will expire and contracts will not be renewed. But at the same time, I do think that they will probably look for more game changers. Doesn't mean necessarily WWE. Doesn't have to be. As I said, Josh Alexander is someone that's currently a free agent. I think would make a big difference. But for me, looking at it, um, I would say that if it's the right fit, doesn't matter where they've come from, AEW will sign them. I think that's probably the shortest, briefest, and easiest way to answer the question, because I do think that they will go for indie talent in places from time to time as well. Silk asking, when do you think Roman is going to lose the title? Do you think that they may try and push it past Walter's NXT UK reign, and that could be another 340 plus, 42 plus days away? That's a big question. I thought it would be Drew, and I thought it would be the UK pay-per-view event, which I believe currently is listed for the beginning of September. Now, nothing more has really been said about this rumored UK event that I'm aware of since the rumors came out sort of, I don't know what, towards the end of last year. So maybe it could be SummerSlam, but this idea, it's something they could do, because I remember Wrestling by Waldridge saying this a long time ago, and I didn't laugh it off, but I said no chance, and said that maybe Roman could be the Bruno Sammartino of our era and hang onto that title literally for years. And I said no, I think maybe two tops. I still think it could be two tops, but I'm still not bored. So there is an opportunity. If you look at the rest of the SmackDown roster, outside of Drew, there's no one taking that belt away from Roman. You know, Big E can have a match, Roman retains. All the others that are on there, same result. So it's certainly a possibility that Roman could still be our champion this time next year going into WrestleMania. And of course, if he was to, and it goes into LA, people want to see Roman versus The Rock. Roman that's been champion there for nearly 3 years, going against the Brahma Bull. I think people would be down for that. We've got JK Blackstone. Thank you for checking out the stream. Could be a first timer as well. I'm not sure on that, but if so, thank you for checking this out. It says, don't know if it's too late, but in your opinion, how would you book AEW Revolution pay-per-view February? What matches do I want to see if I was GM? Well, you're not too late, because obviously I'm here and I'm going to answer that question for you to the best of my ability for you right now, trying to go through the AEW roster as quickly as I can through my head. It looks set. We've got Hangman Adam Page against Adam Cole. Adam Cole's called his shot for that championship. I think those two could have a stellar match between them. So that's something I would look to book. Adam Cole's just simply the number one contender. So sadly, I don't think there's going to be too much in storyline terms with it, but perhaps Adam Cole, the story could be based around the fact that he wants to be the one to take the title of Hangman Adam Page, but also with the Young Bucks, with Red Dragon and, you know, Britt Baker being in and around the scene as well. The confliction could be who could help. Could that cause a bit of a problem, which could cost Adam Cole the win at Revolution, so we can continue that storyline going in towards Double or Nothing. I would do Thunder Rosa against Britt Baker. That's sort of really taking wheels in motion now. I would do it in a steel cage match. I think that would be very special. I think it's time for the belt to change hands as well. If you do a steel cage, you can't get Mercedes Martinez or Jamie Hayter or even Rebel involved in the match. It would remain one-on-one, and you could, with the AEW style cages, they can make that stipulation mean something, where WWE, we know people still get in the cage. So I would do it with a steel cage match and make that stip mean it. As for other matches on the card, I would go with Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson. Moxley to just reject the offer that Bryan Danielson made, even though it was a bloody good one. I'd love to see with Daniel Garcia and Lee Moriarty all in this group together. I think it'd be pretty cool. But no, I would make that where that was to go down. To try and think elsewhere in the show, we have a whole roster, and probably don't want to give. Let's have a think. Tag team titles. Let's do the tag titles. Do you know what I'd do? I would do Jungle Express against Proud and Powerful and FTR, and I would stick in a ladder in there just because I think that'd be fun. I'm always a fan of the big TLC matches with multiple tag teams, so that would be something I would throw together as well. And I think we'll probably get the likes of Ricky Starks against Dante Martin, perhaps in the. I said a ladder match, so we've got the Face of Revolution, haven't we? So scrap that ladder match. That's not happening. Just them three teams in a tag team match, I think, still could be a lot of fun. Face of Revolution ladder match. We've got Keith Lee in there. Throw Wardlow in there. Throw Dante Martin, as I mentioned there. Ricky Starks. You know, there's probably a number of performers you could throw in that sort of ladder match environment. Maybe Jay Lethal could be fun to see as well. And also CM Punk versus MJF. Have that match again and get Punk get his win back. That would be pretty much long and short of it, what I would look to do for that pay-per-view at this point. And I'm sure if I can think of more matches, JK, I'll come back to it, but only if I can think of them. We'll go on to some other questions, though, in the meantime. And we've got Marsh in the house as well. Thank you for checking out the stream. How's everything? And that payback for Mania going to be our Royal Family, American Nightmare, the dashing Cody Rhodes. Let's hope it's dashing and not Stardust if he is to go back to WWE. Certainly would be interesting to see what Cody's next move is going to be. I've definitely already touched on this topic heavily a lot in the stream, so I'm not going to repeat too much at this point, but certainly I see all different directions as a possibility. But dashing Cody Rhodes could be quite interesting to see if that was to come back. Max Turner as well says, can Vince buy out MJF like Khan did Jeff Hardy? I don't think so. I think that MJF is happy in his role, his spot. I think MJF will leave it till 2024. He said it'd be the bidding war of 2024, and I think that that is going to be the situation. I think he'll play it out. He'll wait and see what goes on, and then we'll take it from there. Jeff Hardy, though, he could be another one that could be involved there. I believe he's not clear to go in until after Evolution, unless you're right and that contract has been bought out, then he would be someone I'd add to that ladder match because Jeff Hardy and ladders go together pretty well. Martin Carrillo says, with what we saw on Raw last night, is WWE foreshadowing the call-up of Tommaso Ciampa? That's a great question. Obviously, it's like he's not wanted to do, but maybe he could be pushed in the direction of doing. There definitely was speculation around Royal Rumble time with him being on main event and with the perfectly dyed beard. We didn't have the old man Ciampa look going there, did we? But we've had people from Grayson Waller appear on WWE programming not too long ago on Raw, on a couple of weeks going. So we've seen NXT superstars be there. We've also seen Raw superstars go to NXT. So for me, I think that this is not necessarily a call-up, but definitely is building towards Ciampa and Ziggler, which is a match I actually think would be pretty darn awesome. But yeah, I'm not even sure now that Ziggler would be in NXT long-term either. Silk says, what do you think about Vince not using New Day name while Kofi and Big E tag? They say it's because Big E was champ recently and they feel his name is more name value than the New Day at present time. It's a strange one. That's what I'm going to stick with. It's a strange one because Kofi and Big E have been tag champions multiple times before and they were called the New Day. It didn't matter which of the three were there. Apparently Vince missed Big E being a part of the New Day. So if he's going to be with the New Day, call them the New Day. It's as simple as that. But what I would agree with is that Big E probably has more value right now than being in a tag team. And I would agree that Kofi has that as well. I have thought about an idea of turning in this into a fantasy booking idea of the New Day breakup and triple threat match. If people want that video, if enough people want it, they're watching the stream, let me know in perhaps the comments now or the comments after this video, and then maybe it's something we can put towards WrestleMania season. But for me, I think it should be called the New Day. But yeah, I do think that they should have a more prominent role on SmackDown rather than just teaming against Los Lotharios. That's personally my opinion on that, even though those matches have been pretty darn great. Martin Guerrero says, also, what did you think about the build-up for the WWE Championship Chamber match? And do you think that the winner takes all between Reigns and Lesnar, or someone else from the EC field would be good? Honestly, as I say, my prediction is still not fully set for tomorrow, and I will save it for tomorrow if you don't mind, Martin, because obviously it probably defeat the object of watching the stream, wouldn't it, if I gave it all away now? But I do think that there is certainly a strong possibility. It could be title versus title WrestleMania, but I do believe up to 4 wrestlers in the chamber have a chance walking away as WWE champion. That what I will say. I think 4 are within opportunity. Obviously, I don't believe Austin Theory is one of them, and sadly, I'm going to say that I don't think AJ. Or no, actually, that's not AJ. It's Riddle. I don't believe will either. But yeah, any of the other 4 could do. I mean, even Riddle, if you believe rumors from about a few weeks ago, it's an open field. I'll give that prediction for you tomorrow. But certainly, there is a chance we could get title versus title. But something else could easily be set up. And like I said earlier in the stream, Lashley versus Rollins is a match I can definitely see happening at Mania. Wouldn't be surprised if there's a title involved. If Riddle won it, him versus Orton would make sense for a title match. AJ Styles, him versus Edge, title match. There's so many different ways and directions WWE could go. We'll have to wait and see what they will do. I'll give my prediction for you tomorrow. I promise. Review Geek 3000. I I don't really think Cody and Brandi have gone. For Cody to go back to WWE would be a bad move, in my opinion, after his embarrassing career as Stardust. I mean, it's a fair opinion. It's a fair shout. And I mean, we've had it in this stream here. Some people are really excited about it. Some people go, what's he thinking? Why would he go back there? It all comes down if the deal is right for Cody and he believes he will be booked right. Maybe there'll be some promises and guarantees in the contract. And as Discount Lariat actually said earlier on in this, which is a fantastic question, if you get Cody on board, you book it right. What about other AEW talents later on in the day that could be name value in the future? An MJF, perhaps a Darby Allin, a Jay Cargill, something you want to say, we want them in our company. And now we've got Cody, and you can see you can come from there and you can be a success over here. Maybe other people will say the grass is greener on the other side. So that could be the thinking behind it of why it could work for both sides and can work for Cody and Brandi as well. But is, of course, there's always the risk that WWE may give up on Cody very quickly, think that's not getting over the way we want it to, and we'll put him back as Stardust. I will say, if there is a factor, by the way, that Cody would go WWE over AEW, AEW were not really giving him the best cheers and reactions as a babyface. I think WWE could throw him in as a babyface with the WWE audience, and I'm not so sure he'll get as much hate of being a babyface in WWE, but that's just an opinion at this stage. Time would tell on that one. Martin's career says, what personal unpopular opinion do I have from Impact Wrestling, AEW, and WWE? Unpopular opinions. Well, an unpopular one, it could be that I think Cody could work as a babyface in WWE. I'm not sure if people are going to agree with me on that one, but certainly I think it's certainly a possibility. Unpopular from Impact Wrestling. That's a really good question there, because I think they're knocking it out the park now on all fronts. What I would say actually from Impact Wrestling is an unpopular opinion. I think their main event scene is lacking a little bit. That's something I'm going to say is possibly an unpopular opinion. Of all the matches when I watch Impact right now, the thing I'm least excited about is W Morrissey against Moose. I don't know why. The feud is fine, but I think they're lacking that top babyface that can really be the challenger. I don't know if they're trying to delay the Josh Alexander Moose match for Rebellion. That's certainly a possibility, but that's going to be my unpopular opinion from there. From AEW, an unpopular opinion? Interesting. And WWE, I think most of what I would say would be popular. So it's hard to know. I'm going to have to think about this one a little bit more. I will come back to this question as I go through them, because I don't want to dwell too long. Just basically stumble on my words. Silk, a lot of people are feeling underwhelmed by Hangman's run as champ, apparently. How do you feel about it? Great question, this one. What I would say is, and do you know what? This is probably an unpopular opinion. I think that I think they booked the Bryan Danielson match wrong. That's where I think it went wrong. They did great work with that first 60-minute time limit, but the story, in my opinion, Hangman Page won the championship, and from that point onwards, the underdogs, the guy that doubted himself for 2 years, that story we followed was then carrying on as normal, and we almost just had to forget what we saw for 2 years. When he couldn't get the job done against Bryan Danielson should have really hit home. See, you did all that to get a champion. You got a fluke victory. That's what it was. You didn't get anywhere else, and you can't do this. Do you really believe in yourself that you could actually carry yourself as the face of this promotion? We didn't get that, and I think that's where it lacked. And after that, he did beat Bryan Danielson in a great match again. 2 brilliant matches, just missed a bit of story for me. After that, he's been given Lance Archer, and let's be fair, it's been in the middle of the card, unimportant. Great Texas Death Match. Don't get me wrong, the match was brilliant, but the build was just completely lackluster. And I think that's been the problem. And some people are not really a fan of Adam Cole's run. And there's another unpopular opinion. I'm a fan of Adam Cole's run in AEW so far. So that's another unpopular opinion there, Martin. I'm getting a few of them in there for AEW for you right now. Do you know what? Just to go back to his question quickly, because I can close it off and give him a proper one for WWE. Raw is their best show right now. Raw is the best show, not SmackDown right now. It's gone back to being Monday nights being the best night of the WWE calendar, in my personal opinion. But to go back to this then, yeah, I think that's the problems with Hangman's run at this point. I just personally believe, for me, that Hangman needs to go back to where there's a bit of self-doubt in there. And I think that will come back in when he gets into a feud with MJF. but I'm not sure when that feud is coming, if it's going to be Double or Nothing or All Out. And if it's going to be a case where we're carrying on with this Hangman at the moment, who does a great job, by the way, when he's on TV. But if he's going to be booked like this, people are going to say he's the worst champion they've ever had. And the guy don't deserve that. In my opinion, they should book it where he loses the title quickly, and then he has to build himself back up again in the underdog story fashion that he couldn't do it as champion. Then when he gets the belt the second time round, then he does what he's doing now. Then it would make more sense. So that's why I think it's actually at the moment a bit underwhelming at this moment. We've got Wrestle Geek 3000 here. He says that Stone Cold, on that note, if done well on Austin's terms, it would be ace. Give him a last run for a title, 12 matches, and on his last matches, pass the torch to an upcoming star. And if it's on WWE's terms, on bad booking, Stone Cold may as well stay retired. I would dislike for him to put him booked into a match and end in the same way as Undertaker versus Goldberg. Yeah, for me personally, I agree with the idea of the bad booking and all this sort of stuff. It has to be on Austin's terms, but Austin is a very clever man when it comes to in-ring. He's not going to do something that's not going to work for him, and that's why I think this can be a good thing. Austin was a very clever the way he transitioned his style after his injury from Owen Hart. He had to change when he went from WCW to WWE to begin with. He then had to transition to become the brawler that was Stone Cold that we saw. Steve Austin was one of the best technical wrestlers of his era. If you go back to WCW in like the 90s and stuff, you watch some of his matches with Ricky Steamboat. The guy is a fantastic wrestler. So yeah, for me, Stone Cold would know what he's doing. The only thing I would disagree with you on, and I go back to your other comment here, is I wouldn't do 12 matches. I would make it a one and done. Do it in Texas, do it at Mania, make it special, and just close things off with that, and do it like that as a savior for Texas and destroy Kevin Owens. The story does make sense, and I think KO would make him look good. Silk is all up for the fantasy book in that New Day split. I'll get that definitely in the works then for you. But I want to see more people, if they're interested in it, to let me know as well, because definitely it's something I would be interested in making, because certainly the New Day have had a very interesting couple of years as a group. We've got as well, Kev, I'm going, what if Vince gets revenge and have Cody to be the one to run NXT and take down AEW? Would be brilliant and wicked. Do you know what? You've got a wicked mind there, Jason. But do you know what? I love it. He says sup SCW means, of course. Don't worry, it's cool. I've definitely got one of those faces. I wouldn't worry about it. But yeah, I love your philosophy of him running NXT to go head to head. The Wednesday White Night Wars are back. That'd be quite cool. Does Cestaro also be up for fantasy booking of the New Day? I'll have to get that one in the books when I then. We'll try and get that during Mania season. Definitely we'll try and get that over the next 2 to 3 weeks to get you on the channel. As well as that, do you think WWE and AEW are working together? No, I don't. I don't think it is, no. There is a situation where I think there would be an open door policy from Tony Khan. I can't see Vince McMahon that would be in favor of it unless it benefited WWE and WWE only. I don't really think he's up for doing favors for AEW, even though you can say that the Chris Jericho thing, the Broken Skulls session that was after WrestleMania, they talked about AEW on the WWE Network or Peacock, depending on where you are in the world. So there is different thoughts and philosophies with it. But for me personally, I don't think there is an active working relationship. Maybe there could be something that could be a one-off. Cody Rhodes, I don't believe would be that one-off. If he does go for WWE, I think it would be because he generally would have left AEW and would not be going back. We'll do a few more questions, as because still quite a few people throwing some questions in the stream. We've got Alex Radford as well in there. It says sup as well. Thank you very much for checking out the stream. Hope you're doing well. How about this? WWE can get Stone Cold versus LA Knight promo battle on Mania, my dream match. Do you know what? That would be pretty darn awesome to see. There's flashes of Steve Austin in LA Knight, and I think if he was booked as a strong babyface, like he was done in NWA, it did kind of feel like he was like the Austin Rock of that promotion. And I think if booked right on a Raw and SmackDown, and I think he will be on one of those after WrestleMania, that'd be pretty fun to see. And definitely LA Knight against Stone Cold on the mic, that would be absolutely amazing, because both are absolutely genius on it. So yeah, like the suggestion. Silk also going to say that I think Cody going back to WWE shows that he has a point to prove with Vince to show that he can be top of the card star. And do you know what? 100 million% agree with this statement, because Cody, I imagine would want to be WWE champion or Universal champion at least once before he hung up his boots to main event at WrestleMania, being a high profile WrestleMania match. And, you know, when he left WWE, I remember there was a report that came out and said if he could go back and face Triple H on a high profile match at WrestleMania, he'd go back. So I don't think it's always been the case that he would never go back. So this could be the case that we could get that now. And like you say, to prove to Vince that he can be, you know, be the top of the card, be, you know, the legacy left behind, like Dusty was left behind. He wants to be what his dad was, and certainly if he was to be a main eventer at a WrestleMania or something like that, if he was to sign for a 3 or 4 year deal in 12 months' time, perhaps have a big match this year, but be a main eventer next year, you know, that would definitely. It would prove that point, wouldn't it? So no, I totally agree with this, Silk. I think it's a great point you make. And he also goes on to say that Hangman's run is kind of like Aleister Black's run as NXT champ. Black runs on pay-per-view events, was second to last on the card because of Gargano and Ciampa story. It's not necessarily underwhelming. It's just a bigger story than the title. I think that's a fantastic point. Personally, I can agree with this point to an extent. I just would have liked to have seen that story of him having self-doubt continue on. I think that's my feeling with it. But certainly, other than that, I do agree with you to the point that there are some bigger stories going on right now. Not every story should be built around the title. One thing I will say, though, is, and this may fall into unpopular opinions again, Martin, for you watching, is I don't think necessarily many champions in AEW are being booked that well. A lot of the other storylines are being booked better than necessarily champions at this point. That's an opinion I've got for you there. But speaking of unpopular opinions, Martin says one of his unpopular opinions in AEW is that AEW overshadows their recent surprises and forgets about their world champions. So there you go. That kind of could kind of tie in together, really, couldn't it? With your suggestion there, because yeah, I mean, with all the people like Keith Lee coming in and stuff, that's what you're talking about. You're talking about that more. In fact, that was the top of my stream the last time I did the live Q&A over the idea of, you know, Hangman Page's match with Lance Archer. It was all about Keith Lee. So yeah, I suppose that there is definitely some food for thought with what you're saying there. Triple H versus Cody Rhodes at Mania, you say, sign me up. I would definitely be up for that. If Triple H could ever go again, I don't know if Triple H would ever be able to get in the ring again after his condition, but certainly if they could do that match, that would be pretty awesome. They could have a great story that could go along with that. And this possibly one of the last questions we have, unless any more come flying in now. If you could bring up free talent from Impact to SmackDown and free from AEW to Raw, who would be their first feuds? So what talents would there be and who would be their first feuds? So Impact to SmackDown. Deonna Purrazzo would be my first shout. The Virtuoso, I think, is incredible. Great technician in the ring. I'd like to see a great program of her and Charlotte Flair. I think those two definitely could be show-stealing matches. Those two are top performers. They have wrestled on a Monday Night Raw, but this was at a time when Deonna Purrazzo was a jobber. If she was brought in back, a big deal. I think that would be pretty darn cool to see. For me, Josh Alexander, I mentioned it already. I mean, I think he's one of the world's best technical wrestlers. I'd love to see him mix it up in the ring with a Cesaro. I think that would be certainly really, really exciting to see. So for me, that would be the first feud I would book. But of course, Josh, for me, I'd put him where he was in world title contention within 12 months, as I think the guy is that good. He reminds me of Kurt Angle. Sadly, though, I think he would be booked if he did join WWE like a Charlie Haas. And that's, of course, kind of funny because he only just wrestled Charlie Haas just a short time ago. One last one from Impact SmackDown, Ace Austin, I think would be my other shout. I think Ace Austin is incredible in ring. He's got great heel characteristics as well. To put him in a feud, who would I put him against? That's an interesting philosophy. Maybe someone like the New Day, maybe someone like Big E, I think could be quite fun to see that feud, or him versus Kofi. But he's quite a small dude as well, so maybe Ace Austin versus Ricochet would be a more suitable feud to do at that point, because both are similar size and stature, and it could be a good way to get Ace Austin over. From AEW to Raw, MJF would be my first one as well. I think MJF would be amazing to give my first feud. Goodness, MJF versus The Miz, that sort of battle of the mics, perhaps could be the case, but then Miz would have to be babyface because MJF has to remain a despicable heel. I would not have anything different but that with MJF for his entirety of his career. Personally, for me, maybe someone that maybe MJF could victimize would be quite fun to see in a feud as well. Perhaps maybe even the fact that the name drop was done actually of talking on the other show. Maybe they could actually do MJF versus Edge. That could be a fun feud to potentially watch. As for other talents then that could go from AEW to Raw, let's go for Proud and Powerful. I'm going to cheat and make a tag team as one because I think Proud and Powerful would be great in tag team wrestling for WWE. I'd really, really like to see that. So put them against the Alpha Academy. I'm loving what they're doing with Chad Gable at the minute with his shushes and his thank yous are just on point. Absolutely love them. So yeah, for me, I would do that tag team match. I think that'd be pretty cool to see. And last but not least, then last AEW talent I'd go with probably would go looking at the pillars. I'd probably go Darby Allin because I think he's got a look that can really stand out. Do you know what? Scrap that. I'm going to take Wardlow. I know we've already taken MJF, but let's take Wardlow as well. I could take all of them really, but WWE could do with all these talents. But yeah, for me, Wardlow would come in because I think he'd be one of the big guys that could really stand tall and really do well. I think that in time, Wardlow will be just like a transition between Batista and a Brock Lesnar. So yeah, I think for me, that would be kind of interesting to see. Wardlow versus Bobby Lashley would be my first feud that I would do if I was to do that. Darby Allin would be interesting to bring in as a feud. I'd say I would put him in a feud with necessarily to start off with, but Darby Allin would be another one if I was to pick another one to go from AEW to WWE. Silk says, great show as always. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Silk, and look forward to our stream tomorrow as well. It'll be really a lot of fun. Elimination Chamber, of course, will be tomorrow. So yeah, let's do that. And just say very quickly for those that are watching right now, please like the video if you get an opportunity to. It really helps spread the word of the channel to put a like in on the video. So I really really appreciate if you could do that. We've got some more questions in, so we're not leaving just yet. But of course, the more likes the videos get, the more they branch out on YouTube, the more the opportunity the channel gets to grow. I know it's a bit selfish from my point of view, but I really want to hit the monetization goal. And of course, to do that, to spread the word of the channel would help do that immensely. So if you can hit the thumb up on a video when you're watching SCW, particularly this one right now, I would be very, very grateful. Back to our next questions, though. Now we've got Martin Career says, what is the most forgotten championships in recent history? WWE's Intercontinental Championship or the Women's Tag Team titles? Great question. I would have to say the IC title, just because Nakamura's only defended it once. I know that Queen Zelina and Carmella don't really have people that they go against, but I think that they will probably get a high-profile WrestleMania match in some format, whether it's the Bellas, whether it's maybe a Sasha or Bailey, could be a team that could throw together to do so. That could be quite interesting. I mean, Queen Zelina did eliminate Sasha from the Rumble. They can go on both shows, so Queen Zelina and Carmella could go on to SmackDown for a week. So they could build that if they wanted to. Obviously, I know what happens with Nakamura and Sami Zayn on Friday. For those who don't, I'm not going to say anything. But what I would say is that Nakamura during the title run so far has only defended the title once. He's defending it on Friday this week. For me, it's not enough. Even though I've enjoyed and am loving Nakamura's work right now with Rick Boogs and Pat McAfee on the announce tables and stuff, I still want to see him defend the titles more. SCW, so hype. I love it, and I will cry also. And I think that will be if AEW released Jim Ross and Vince gave him a call to call Rock versus Roman or Austin versus Owens. Hey, look, it would be pretty darn special, wouldn't it, if that was to go down? But yeah, I think Jim Ross is going to be AEW now until the finish. We do say about this working together relationship. I got asked this earlier on by Review Geek 3000, and what I would say from it is that there was an understanding the idea that it could be for some Peacock stuff that could be going on in the future. WWE could do like documentaries on people like Jim Ross, Chris Jericho, so maybe there could be a working relationship with that. I'm thinking maybe not on screen, but maybe behind the scenes there is that possibility. But I do think Jim Ross will stay AEW, if I'm honest. Brock Randolph is in the house. Hi, Brock. If you want to get a question in, get it in now. It's your last opportunity before I close off the stream. But what I want to say is thanks to everyone has been watching here today on this live Q&A. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of friendly faces been on here as always. Thank you everyone that has been involved. As I can say, you can like the video, share it as well, subscribe will be really, really helpful. And like I say, we've just passed 1,500 subscribers, so the road to 2K begins now. The watch time, we're probably about 300 hours away from monetization. It sounds like it's a lot. Trust me, it's not that bad. We needed 500 at the start of the calendar year. We've already done 200. I'm going to try and see if we can get that final 300 on the road to WrestleMania 38. Go to our last couple of questions then, and then we will close off the stream. This is a great question coming in from Silk now. Your thoughts on the treatment of Mustafa Ali? He's stated he's got 2.5 years left, but I could probably see him getting his release before the end of the year. I would hope so. Apparently, Nick Khan is actually keen on releasing Mustafa Ali. He doesn't see the point of keeping someone that doesn't want to be there. Vince, though, sees something in him, and even though Nick Khan has got his way with a lot of the releases, he's not got his way on this one. Vince still sees something in Mustafa Ali, but I'm guessing that with Ali not wanting to be there, you may be right. Maybe he'll be off TV for a while, not featured for a while, but maybe when it comes to these releases, maybe after WrestleMania, maybe, well, we've had a load of these releases cuts done throughout 2021. I reckon Mustafa Ali will get his way eventually. I agree with you. I think perhaps before the end of 2022, but certainly it could be a while yet. I'm personally of belief that people, if they're not happy and they ask for the release, you should probably grant it. But then also, he has signed a deal. But hey, if you've got him signed and the guy wants to leave, it's probably because he's not being used correctly or being used at all. Maybe if the guy was being used and given opportunity to get a good run, and let's be fair, Mustafa Ali has multiple times almost got the big push, the big rub. Was supposed to be involved with WrestleMania. Of course, he got injured, was written off TV, and Kofi Mania took over. Supposed to win Money in the Bank. It became Brock in the Bank the last second. Retribution, the hacker, need I say more? The random tag team with Mansoor, which, let's be fair, was entertaining for a time. Mustafa Ali, unfortunately, has been where he's been given opportunities and it's just not worked out at that last period. And it's been really, really sad to see that it's not really worked out for him in WWE because there's a heck of a talent there, heck of a promo, heck of a in-ring talent as well. I want to see him perform where he thinks he can do his best work. And if WWE are not going to grant him that, then let him do it somewhere else. So that's my feeling of it. He should be released if he wants to go and he's not going to be used. That's my personal take on it anyway. The Roadshow on Peacock, book it. Yeah, season 2. Keep an eye on Peacock. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Certainly won't be on TNT or TBS. I wouldn't have thought if he's on with the rivals going forward. Last question, and this will be the last question on the stream. Since MJF might be an establishment eventer in a few years, who will be at his level in WWE by that time? Fantastic question, this one. I would have to say that I think Austin Theory is someone to keep an eye out for that I think will be definitely on the level. Austin Theory, I can personally see being someone that could win Money in the Bank this year and could even be a WWE champion or Universal champion by some point in 2023. I think that they see something in this guy. They are pushing him. They're giving him every opportunity to be in as many high-profile, big spots as possible. The Survivor Series team had a great performance in the Royal Rumble. He's now part of this Elimination Chamber. You can bet he's got a big match probably on his way at WrestleMania. I personally think it could be to win the United States Championship. Just an early prediction on that one. So we'll have to wait and see how it will go down. But yeah, Austin Theory would be someone I think would be at MJM's level by that point. Luke Bridges goes on to say, "Sup, SCW, imagine Vince to stick to AEW and Cody Rhodes, take Austin Theory's spot, and he can win the WWE title at the Chamber. You be live after the show." I sadly won't be live after the show, unfortunately, but I will do a review on Sunday of the Elimination Chamber. I can promise you that. But what I say is, wouldn't that be fun? That would be a fun idea to bring Cody in, and like you say, it would get everybody talking. But if you ask me if it was going to happen, sadly, I don't think it will. But what I will say very quickly is Elimination Chamber predictions will be on this channel tomorrow. They will be dropping on UK time 4:15 p.m., which means it'll be 11:15 p.m., 11:15 a.m. On Eastern time in the United States. It's a slightly earlier stream, but definitely come and check it out, and it certainly will be available on demand as well. Myself and Silk, who's been involved on this, of course, NXT, probably better known as from Jonesy Chats Wrestling. We'll be discussing it tomorrow, giving our predictions for the Elimination Chamber. So I hope to see you all there. Jason here goes and say, "Good show, SCW. If we get anything for tonight, will you review it? If there's anything that major happens tonight, certainly I will drop you some form of video tomorrow, or we'll make mention of it during the Elimination Chamber predictions video. So that'll be a little bonus add-on that would come on. Say, for example, Cody was to turn up to NXT, which I don't think is going to happen. But that's all from me anyway. Thank you everyone for watching. Like I say, if you could please like the video, share and subscribe, would really, really appreciate it. I want to thank everybody for all of your questions. Really, really appreciate some fantastic questions, fantastic people as well. If you, on YouTube or on Twitter, Instagram, all support each other, all follow each other as well, because we can all grow together as one here in the wrestling community. Honestly, I think I've got the best viewership going because I love everybody that gets involved in these and puts in fantastic questions and always so supportive. So thank you all for watching. It always really does mean a lot. But this has absolutely flown by. This has been 75 fun minutes of talking to you lot. Hope you've all enjoyed it as well. If you do, hit the thumb up as well on this video. And I will see you tomorrow. As I say, it'll be 4:15 p.m. UK time, 11:15 a.m. Eastern time from America. And of course, like I say, the video will be on demand afterwards as well. Elimination Chamber predictions. It's going to be a fun one. Myself and Silk in the hot seat giving our picks. But until then, check out another video on SCW. Like I say, Vengeance Day is tonight. And that video is only 11 minutes, the predictions video. Go and check that out on the channel right now. But anyway, that's all from me. Enjoy Vengeance Day. Enjoy your day of wrestling. I'll see you tomorrow. All the best. I'll see you next time. Have yourselves a good one. Thank you.